I shall now announce certain additional measures. The first one relates to prudential framework for income recognition, asset classification, and provisioning pertaining to advances, particularly in the context of projects under implementation. With a view to strengthen the extant regulatory framework governing project finance and to harmonize the instructions across all regulated entities, the existing prudential norms for projects under implementation have been reviewed. A comprehensive regulatory framework applicable for all regulated entities is now proposed to be issued. Detailed draft guidelines will be released for public comments. The next announcement relates to credit concentration norms, credit risk transfer, and this is in the context of the NBFCs. At present, under the large exposure framework, NBFCs in the upper layer are permitted to use credit risk mitigation instruments for reducing their exposures to a counterparty. With a view to harmonize the credit concentration norms among the NBFCs, it has been decided to also permit NBFCs in the middle and base layers to use the credit risk mitigation instruments for reducing their counterparty exposures under the credit concentration norms. The next announcement relates to gold loan bullet repayment scheme in respect of the urban cooperative banks, that is UCBs. It has been decided to increase the existing limit for gold loans under the bullet repayment scheme from rupees 2 lakh to rupees 4 lakh in respect of urban cooperative banks who have met the overall target and sub-targets under the priority sector lending as on 31st March 2023. This measure is in pursuance of our earlier announcement that suitable incentives shall be provided to the UCBs that have met the prescribed priority sector lending targets as on 31st March 2023. The next announcement relates to framework for recognition of self-regulatory organizations, that is SROs for regulated entities of the Reserve Bank. Self-regulatory organizations can play an important role in strengthening compliance culture among their members and also provide a consultative platform with the Reserve Bank for policy making. Therefore, it has been decided to issue a draft omnibus framework for recognizing the self-regulatory organizations, that is the SROs, for various categories of regulated entities of the Reserve Bank. And these draft guidelines will be issued for stakeholder comments. Additional sector-specific conditions may also be prescribed at the time of calling for applications. The next announcement is with regard to Payments Infrastructure Development Fund, that is PIDF, and we are extending this coverage of this scheme and including the Prime Minister's Vishwakarma scheme beneficiaries also. Since its launch in January 2021, the Payments Infrastructure Development Fund, that is the PIDF scheme, has enabled over 2.66 crore. I repeat, the PIDF scheme, since its launch in January 2021, has enabled over 2.66 crore new payment touch points across the country. It has been decided to extend the scheme by 2 years, that is up to December 31st, 2025. The coverage of the PIDF scheme is also being expanded, number one, to include the beneficiaries under the Prime Minister's Vishwakarma scheme, and number two, to deploy emerging modes of payment acceptance such as Soundbox and Aadhaar-enabled biometric payment acceptance devices. These measures will further accelerate the Reserve Bank's efforts to promote digital payments at the grassroots level. The next announcement relates to introduction of new channels for Card-on-File Tokenization, that is CoFT. Given the growing acceptance and benefits of tokenization of card data, it is now proposed to introduce Card-on-File Tokenization creation facilities directly at the issue bank level. This measure will enhance convenience for cardholders to get tokens created and linked to their existing accounts with various e-commerce applications. And the final announcement is as follows, after which I will conclude. The last announcement relates to master direction on internal ombudsman mechanism in the regulated entities. You would have noticed that over the recent years, we have taken a number of measures to improve the system of customers' grievance redressal in the banks as well as in the NBFCs and other entities which are regulated by the Reserve Bank. Now, at present, we have also mandated, as you know, there is an integrated ombudsman scheme of the Reserve Bank. But before that, there is an internal ombudsman scheme in the regulated entities, be it NBFCs or banks. Now, at present, internal ombudsman framework in regulated entities comprises of separate guidelines for select scheduled commercial banks, non-bank issuers of prepaid instruments, NBFCs and all credit information companies, that is CICs. These guidelines have similar design features but vary in certain operational aspects. It has been decided to effect certain changes and also consolidate and harmonize the internal ombudsman guidelines into a single master direction. This will further strengthen the customer grievance redress system of the regulated entities. Now, I am referring here to the internal ombudsman scheme, which every bank, every NBFC, every regulated entity is expected to have, and they do have it. We are further fine-tuning that system so that customer grievance redress mechanism improves further. Let me now conclude. The Indian economy is forging ahead in a challenging global environment, drawing strength from its underlying macroeconomic fundamentals and buffers. While growth remains on track, the declining trend in inflation was interrupted in July and August due to price shocks in certain food items. Volatile energy and food prices in the wake of lingering geopolitical tensions and adverse weather conditions render uncertainty to the inflation outlook. We remain vigilant of the evolving inflation dynamics. I would like to emphatically reiterate, let me repeat, I would like to emphatically reiterate that our inflation target is 4% and not 2 to 6%. Our aim is to align inflation to the target on a durable basis while supporting growth. Our commitment to ensure financial stability reinforces our emphasis on price stability and anchoring of inflation expectations. This would keep inflation risk premium low and improve our competitiveness, productivity, and growth potential. As we continue our journey ahead, we take inspiration from Mahatma Gandhi's profound words, and I quote, "If we keep that as our goal, we shall never despond, we shall never weaken, and we shall ever go forward." Thank you. Namaskar.